The NHL on Fox, the Stanley Cup Finals, brought to you by Dodge. The more things change, the more things look like the new Dodge. By the Discover card, it pays to discover the car that pays you back. By Nike, who encourages you to participate in the lives of America's youth. And by Speed Stick by Minute. Like you, it never quits.
Laser show outside, a crunching show inside. During that first 20 minutes, a lot of pucks were shot by sticks like that and about that fast. Both teams got 2 goals. Let's return to the philosophy of this game. First of all, for New Jersey, you said they've got to play their system, did they?
Mike, I thought that at the first portion of the period, Detroit was out shooting, I think with over 12 minutes left, out shooting New Jersey 6-1. The shots ended up 8-8. I think New Jersey got into their game more as they moved along. Detroit, on the other hand, had 8 shots, 7 of them by defensemen. 7 out of 8. I think that's something that I'm sure the Devils will address during the intermission. And Detroit, as Keith Primo said and Dave Maloney mentioned, I don't think they can play a better period. And they have to continue to play with the passion they showed more than anything else and trying to take advantage of any mistake that the Devils make, because they don't make many of them.
This game summary is brought to you by Bud Ice. Broughton and Chambers have scored for New Jersey. Fedorov and Coffey for Detroit. Shots even. 6 goals allowed by Mike Vernon in the last 28 shots. The one that tied it up, a blistering drive by Chambers with 2:15 to go in the period. When the second period gets underway, there will be no carryover penalties, no carryover power plays. Chris Draper has become one of the more significant spokesmen. It's interesting how that evolves as the playoffs go on. He's a very glib guy, speaks well, seems very confident at that. And so at a time when not everyone wants to face the camera, Chris has been one of the guys that's been prominent.
He used to be a member of the Winnipeg Jets organization, sold for $1. $1. That's getting value for your money, is it not?
Indeed. It is Coffey as well as Rouse to start the period for Detroit. Primo working with Martin Lapointe and also Fedorov up front. Danico turned that one along. Sent along by Fedorov, it trickled through for Scott Stevens to play. It is Lemieux and Richer, as well as Carpenter, the frontline combination for Jacques Lemaire's New Jersey Devils. Fedorov with a steal, backhander, turned aside by Brodeur.
Penalty coming up to New Jersey as Detroit starts quickly, so I think they must have fed off of how they played in the first period, discussed it during the intermission, and they start quickly here. Lapointe, ooh, man, did he catch Danico away from the puck. My goodness. Lapointe, a big forward, put on the ice, and Kenny Danico reacted. Primo there took a shot from Scotty Stevens, and you can see that bothered him, or it appeared to bother him, even though he stayed on the ice to start this power play. So Kenny Danico, who was absolutely blindsided, and the referee must not have seen that. Danico reacted after and ends up in the penalty box. Kenny Danico is one of the true leaders for this hockey club. In Secaucus, New Jersey, about 1.5 miles from here, Max and June McNabb sitting and watching right now. Max McNabb was a member of this organization for a lot of years and responsible for bringing in people like Kenny Danico and John McClain and Bruce Driver. And I'm sure he's a proud man sitting and watching his Devils go to work.
Hoping that they can win their first Stanley Cup, and he won one as a player, as a member of the Detroit Red Wings of the 1950s. Yzerman trying to work it in front, can't do it. Puck taken by Cicerelli. Coffey hurries one, and it's skipped wide of Martin Brodeur in the goal. McClain, but it's kept by Lidstrom. Rolled around Cicerelli there. Oh, was he bumped into by Niedermeyer? Off the rail. It came over to Scott Stevens. Leaves it out for Broughton in a short-handed rush. Broughton back over to Stevens. Quick one in front, and it was behind McClain. Now the Devils have to hustle to get back. Moving ahead with it is Yzerman. Testing Stevens. Beating on over for Cicerelli. Driver bangs into him. Fed back to the point. Waiting is Coffey. Lidstrom. Deflected wide by Cicerelli. Swept out in front and cleared away by Driver. Lidstrom back over to Coffey again. Back to Lidstrom once more. Wristed one that's slowed down by McClain. Follow-up comes from Yzerman, but he's checked. Now it's Bruce Driver. Kept at the point. Lidstrom gave it up to Broughton, who threw it back down. Over halfway through the Devils' penalty kill. It's laid ahead for Fedorov. Fedorov cranks the heart around. Brodeur got a piece of it. Chipped along by Chambers. Coffey kept it alive. Driver swung it back. 2 minutes played, second period. Just one shot on goal this period, that by Detroit. Coffey gliding right ahead. Paul Coffey wanting to turn by Albeline. Here's Coffey behind. Fed it to the point. Fetisov, a shot deflected. Punched away by Albeline and played back out by Chorsky. A dozen seconds on the Red Wings power play. The Devils make another change up front. Chambers and Albeline in back. Broughton and McLean, the forwards. Turned aside by Brodeur. A Chekhov and Fedorov, a shot that saved another shot, and Brodeur got that one.
When you're on the power play, you have to outnumber the other team to recover the puck. Now here's the puck put into the corner. It's a 2-on-2 play. Now all of a sudden in comes Primo, and there's 3 red jerseys. They recover the puck. And now you see the chance for the shot. Dino Ciccarelli in front. The puck just misses. And Brodeur tried to recover the puck. On the last chance here, again, Detroit, this is called a smart dump into the puck. And Brodeur does a nice play in kicking it into the corner. But again, the Red Wings go and outnumber. New Jersey recover the puck, and there's Brodeur making 2 saves. The thing about Brodeur's goaltending, his style never gets him in trouble. Never. He's never out too far. Even when he's down, he's in a position to recover. His body always seems to be squeezed together. Very few pucks slide through his legs or between his arm and his body. He's a very intelligent goaltender. Only 23 years of age. Very strong, too. 6'1" and strong physically.
He has seen about every movie that is out. The day before every game, he goes with some teammates to a movie. Yesterday, it was Bridges of Madison County. His review, it moved kind of slow for me.
Well, it is a little slow when Clint Eastwood's in it.
Well, a middle-aged Clint Eastwood, anyway.
Even Clint Eastwood slows down. Is that what you're saying? Just like the rest of us. Thank God.
Here comes Tom Chorsky. Chorsky crossing. Jammed aside in traffic and handled by Fetisov. Laid back on out for a pass by Krushelnyski to Chris Draper. Draper with a shot, and that stopped and then swept away by Niedermeyer. Neal Broughton up with it, but Draper took it away from him. Chris Draper couldn't get it to the front. Draper trying to recover again, but Fetisov must corral it in center ice. 5 shots in this period, all by Detroit. Brodeur takes that one. For Albeline, skipped back to neutral ice. Tommy Albeline hands it across to Niedermeyer. The Let's Go Devils chant starts. Lidstrom flips it back out. Niedermeyer controlling as the Devils make a line change. Mike Ramsey controlling behind. Bangs it back off. Stevens' one-time shot went to the air. Gloved down by Ramsey. Stevens again with a shot, and that one skipped wide. And Big Pete Primo. But the pass is taken by Stevens. Drive, and that went off a leg wide. Ralston rolling it around. Guerin centered, but it's off Freeland's stick. Primo trying to step away, cannot. Stevens tried to finesse. Guerin up with it. Back to Freeland. Shoots one, and that blocked aside.
Great play by Primo, who had lost his stick. It's been an exhausting shift for him as the Devils continue the pressure.
No shots on goal for them in this attack. Puck to the back now to Danico. Shoots one, and that one sailed wide on the wrister. The point feverishly trying to clear camp.
Primo got his stick back now.
And a stoppage of play. 4:35 played in the second. We're still tied up at 2. So the second period is unfolded here. Almost a fourth of it played, and it's been all Detroit in shots on goal at 5-0.
And Scotty Bowman just put 4 players on the ice, waited. The Devils put all their players on the ice, and then Scotty Bowman threw Fedorov on there because there's no Carpenter and there's no Scotty Stevens. So now Jacques Lemaire's mad at the referee. So we have Fedorov out there, no Carpenter, no Stevens. That hasn't happened very often in the series.
Driver across, one-time shot, and getting a piece of it was Vernon. Letting it go was Niedermeyer. Down along by Chorsky. Paul Coffey, checked off by Broughton. Broughton got it over from McLean. Checked to the corner with authority by Rouse. Dino Ciccarelli put it back out. Niedermeyer in Driver the defense, McLean, Chorsky, and Broughton up front, but then a quick change by the Devils. They get Carpenter and Claude Lemieux out there.
They want those players out there simply because of Fedorov.
Here comes Lemieux. Shoots one, and it went wide. Hanging on is Mike Vernon. And downstairs is Joe Michelini.
Okay, Mike, a couple of things. The coaches from both teams, first Detroit, felt the 2 goals that they gave up in that period they weren't happy with. The defensive play on the second goal, but the first goal, the one by Neil Broughton, they felt not only did Neil Broughton kick the puck in, but they felt that he was also in the crease. Meanwhile, New Jersey's coaching staff, they felt that they had their worst period of the final series thus far. Back up to you, Mike.
All right, so 2 coaches not happy.
What else is not?
Yeah.
And they got out of it tied up at 2. But the backboards here, when players miss the net, the puck fires right out front so quick. That makes the goaltender worry about going out too far from his goal crease. So you can't play the angle too much. If the player misses the net, the puck comes right back in front. Real quick.
Tough save, 6'4", Brodeur. Brodeur has faced more shots. Driver up with this one. Niedermeyer fired, rebound, sent wide.
Not only New Jersey winning faceoffs, but they're getting great shots after winning the faceoffs.
Richer held on. Matisov tried to get by, could not. Vernon sent it around, and Yzerman takes over. Bruce Driver chases it. Cicerelli on him. Swung right back and taken by Konstantinov. Dino Cicerelli turning with it. Laying it across for Primo. Primo trying to dip around behind. He's Primo controlling now for Detroit. Yzerman can't get to the front. Flips one, and it's nudged right in toward Brodeur, and he hangs on.
We're tied up at 2. This is a shot from Niedermeyer off the face-off win by New Jersey. Watch in front. There. Konstantinov does a nice job checking his man so the rebound doesn't beat Mike Vernon. Keith Primo has such a large reach. He was able to get the puck in deep that led to this offense, but not a good clean shot as the Devils are getting stronger and stronger in their own zone.
Their history this year has been to get stronger and stronger as each period goes by. One of the best teams in the third period, not only in the regular season, but in these playoffs. Very little else can be compared from the New Jersey that we saw in the regular season to the New Jersey that has emerged here in the playoffs. The middle of March, it didn't even look like they'd make the playoffs because they were technically out of the top 8 in their conference.
Injuries do that. That's for sure.
That was part
the addition of Neil Broughton has certainly helped the Devils.
Jacques Lemaire is trying to become the 3rd student of Scotty Bowman as a player to win a Stanley Cup championship as a coach. Al Arbour and Terry Crisp were the earlier 2. Conversation, of course, before this final series centered around the teacher and the pupil and the typical things that you would have emerging. But one of the stories was that when Bowman was coaching Lemaire, they won 5 Stanley Cups, and Lemaire was the only guy who would ask the question, how? Out in front, oh, the backhander by McKay! It's held off by Vernon. The Devils sneaked an attack through, and Randy McKay, who's been one of the top goal scorers of the series, almost got one.
Mike Vernon got Detroit into the finals. Scotty Bowman said, yeah, I'm going to play him even though we're down 3-0. Here's Detroit. Lidstrom makes the pass, and it does not connect. And here comes that counterattack. The Devils find a way to get offense, and Vernon stayed with it. He was partially down, but he stayed with it on McKay as Peluso looked for the rebound. This pass with a rolling puck does not connect, as you see there. Turnover at the blue line. Detroit going in one direction. Now they're caught. Lidstrom gets caught one-on-one, and this time Mike Vernon, he wins it. He's had a good second period, as has Brodeur, with the score tied at 2.
Coffey connects with LaPointe, but then it's off him. Stevens nubs one back in. Shots in the period, 6 for Detroit, 2 for New Jersey. Game tied at 2. Lemieux swinging it back ahead, and Paul Coffey just lobs it back in. Stevens back to play.
Watch Detroit here with what they call a delayed forecheck. Kozlov's deep. Everybody else is back towards the blue line. They're playing a very similar style in this game that New Jersey uses as their strength. Everybody knows it is the neutral zone trap. That's one reason, I think, why we have a game that's only had 1 goal apiece with even strength scoring.
Kozlov onto LaPointe. Richer. Coffey recovers. Jacques Lemaire was saying that he's seeing this as a trend now. Of course, New Jersey getting to the finals and being one away from a championship would mean that it would be a trend that would start if it hadn't already. He's noticed it in junior hockey, in the American and International Hockey Leagues this year, too.
I think more than anything else, Mike, it came over here from Europe where they have large ice surfaces. You can't chase the puck all the time, so you play positional hockey.
Here is Lemieux. Held off by Konstantinov, but he got it on to Bill Guerin. Guerin watched by Fetisov, got it over for Niedermeyer, swung on in front, net by Broughton, flip by Broughton, score!
First lead of the game for New Jersey, and this place is jumping. Look at the play as the puck is taken to the outside by Billy Guerin, and in front, Broughton is wide open. A valiant effort by Mike Vernon to keep the puck away, but finally it was jammed in. You see Fetisov's gone down and Bob Airey's gone down, and when you leave your feet, you can't recover. There's Vernon with 2 saves and a third one where the puck just crawls up and over top of his shoulder. Broughton stays with it. To Broughton, he's left alone because Bob Airey had gone down. Save and a save, and look at the puck. Crawls up and over. It's 3-2 New Jersey.
Broughton with his second of the game. Guerin and Niedermeyer the assists at 7:56. 3-2 in favor of the Devils.
Billy Guerin with that great speed was able to move into the zone and twist the defenseman Fetisov right down to the ice surface before making the play.
Speed he's got, but size he has too. Thrown around behind. Doug Brown can't come up with it. Rushed away from Ralston by Lidstrom. Brown trying to center, but it's off the back of the goal. Bruce Driver moving it back out for New Jersey. Cranks it back in. Vernon just lets it go. Off of Ramsey. Played along to Guerin again. Bill Guerin crosses, can't get a shot away. Freeland couldn't reach it. Keith Primo could and brings it on. Now it's Freeland. Chambers with a drive blocked by Mike Ramsey and tucked back out. Chambers just laying it across is Mike Ramsey, member of that 80 U.S. gold medal winning Olympic team. Right there, number 15 made a strong block.
Detroit started the period quickly. New Jersey is taking it over. They've beaten Vernon now to take the lead, and they haven't stopped since that point. They're carrying the speed of the game now. The Devils are. Here's Detroit backing out. Now they're going to try to force turnovers.
Airey with the shoulder on McLean. Rouse takes over on defense. Stevens could not keep. There'll be no icing on this. Once again, Tommy Albaline shuffles it off the glass, and Rouse waiting for this one. Across to Paul Coffey. Rouse goes the other way to Ciccarelli. Offside. Play stopped here, nearing the middle point of our game. The Devils have the lead over the Red Wings, 3-2.
Big Stu Grimson, sometimes when you don't get a lot of ice time, you do what you can to try to fire your team up. And he's trying to do that. Draper with a big hit there on Billy Guerin. Freeland with a little help from his side. I must apologize. I said for the first time the Devils have led. I should say the first time in this period. The Devils opened the scoring with Broughton getting the goal early in the game. I apologize for that.
Broughton resting at the bench. The big boys are out right now. Bringing it on and rolling it back in is Stu Grimson. Scott Stevens back to play it. Oh, going low on him was Lapointe. Lapointe battling with Stevens in the corner. Fedorov crunches in. Carpenter took it away. Back up to Lemieux. Can't get it by Konstantinov. A wrestling match in the corner.
And Lapointe and Stevens, who started in behind the goal net, from Lapointe, low bridge Stevens, they just kept right at it all the way along the boards. Finally, Bill McCurry blew the whistle, and it may be a trade-off of Lapointe, who's already drawn 2 penalties in the game. He may be going off with Scott Stevens for a rest. Not much after after the whistles in this game. Here's Grimson and Richer. If Grimson gets somebody like Richer in the penalty box for a long period of time, he'll win the battle. Even if they get, sometimes referees will give out 10-minute misconducts when they go at it after whistles. And if that indeed happens here, Grimson-Richer is a win for Detroit. LaPointe came flying in. Stevens knew he had to get to the puck, and he had two men bearing down on him, and LaPointe went low. Scott Stevens likes to do that himself a lot of times, go low when he throws a body check. Well, they continue to really push and shove here. Fetisov and Chambers. Here's Stevens. He's got a man coming from each side of the net. Boom! LaPointe went down and low, and they just stayed right after one another. All along the boards. They continued to battle and battle. It catches the hip here of Stevens, I think, more than anything else. Not the knee, thankfully. Stevens was okay to get up and battle as they continue to push and shove. You haven't seen very much of this at all in the playoffs. Now they casually separate. Most players have their gloves on.
Over the last 3 years, the fighting has dropped off markedly, especially in the playoffs. John was talking about size earlier. When the guys were big the last time, it was the mid-70s, but it was size not necessarily combined with skill because they needed fighters. Well, in these playoffs, 80 games have been played. There have been 10 fights and none in the last month of playoff competition. It's been just fierce like this. But Stu Grimson was the last guy to have a fight. It was in the second round with Jeff Hodgers of San Jose.
You talked about having fighters back in the 70s. We had Dave Maloney. My buddy.
And you realize he doesn't have a microphone nearby. There's no rejoinder coming. Just a pause right now to cool things off. Scotty Bowman said he wanted a low-scoring game. Sounded kind of odd coming from a man whose team had led the league in total goals scored for the last 2 full regular seasons. Finished third only to Pittsburgh and Quebec in this shortened season. This is not really low scoring, but it is 3-2 by Devils standards. It's starting to get high scoring because they normally don't give up more than 3.
Yeah, when the Devils score 3 goals, generally they win, period. I think with Scotty Bowman, his hockey club has given up 2 goals right around the goal crease, both by Broughton. They've also given up the power play goal by Chambers, but both by Broughton, getting around the goal crease, finding a way to find the puck.
Talking about size, Joe Micheletti has some friends not far away in our Meadowlands Arena in East Rutherford, New Jersey tonight.
Yep. Okay, Mike, yeah, I sure do. With me is Dave Schultz and Boris Kindrachuk. Both these players are celebrating an anniversary. 20 years since the Philadelphia Flyers won their second Stanley Cup, and I guess this type of action out here, Dave, you're used to got a little bit of a smile on your face.
Well, this is the first time I've seen any kind of little mix-up, but playoff hockey is exciting, and this is a great game, and everybody's excited here.
Boris, how does that make you feel when you sit here watching a Stanley Cup final?
You wish you could play one more game. That's all. One more game would be tremendous.
We had a chance to look at the Stanley Cup. How about if we take a look at those championship rings that you guys are wearing? That's what these guys are playing for. There they are right there.
I would love to have one of these. Unfortunately, not. A lot of guys play a lot of years, never have a chance. So I feel pretty privileged, and so does Oris, for all of us, that we had a chance to win it.
Thanks, guys. Back up to you, Mike.
Boris Kindrachuk, an insurance agent in the Philadelphia area, and Dave Schultz runs a limousine service. And he gets full payment on all of his invoices.
Oh, I bet he does. Schultz with 1 ring on each hand. The 2 cups they won.
You guys saw a lot of those hands over the years, didn't you? Without rings on them sometimes. Ricey called and a face-off comes back near Martin Brodeur.
Well, Mike, that's the thing. One more game. Just wish you could play one more game. It's a more bitter feeling to lose in a Stanley Cup final than it is to not make the playoffs or lose in the first round. When you get this close, Cicerelli, 15 years worth. Stevie Yzerman, first ever final. When you lose in the final, believe me, it's something that haunts you the rest of your life. It's amazing how many times you can drive down a freeway and think about it 10 years later that you lost, even though you were there.
Coffey with a shot deflected and a save made by Brodeur. Yzerman was right at the front of the net.
Good play by Yzerman, winning the faceoff and then getting to the net. If you lose the draw, you shouldn't let your man go, and Yzerman was able to get away from his centerman, who is Broughton. You see it right in the middle. Now Yzerman releases, drives and spins to get in front, Broughton got caught standing still. He's better than that. That very seldom happens to a player like Broughton. Let's see what happens on this face-off. Yzerman wins. Broughton stays with him. Look at that. He's staying right with him.
Primo had trouble playing it. Yzerman pulls away from Broughton now, trying to play it in the corner, but Niedermeyer dominated. Right back it comes to the two of them, and Primo comes by. Then Yzerman again around to Primo. Albaline steps to him, and down he goes. Thrown off by Niedermeyer. Broughton turns with it. Scooped a pass, and it's a 2-on-1. Niedermeyer giving over to John McLean. Moves in. Shoots. Save. Burnham. Rebound. And it went behind. Thrown by Niedermeyer. McLean has shot, and it slithered wide. Coffey takes over there for Detroit. A 2-on-1. The only odd man rush that the Devils have been able to get. Right back now comes Paul Coffey. Tried to work one through, that failed. Sean Chambers shifts from defense to offense, handing over to McLean. No play, so he'll shoot. And it's deflected harmlessly to the glass. Both teams a man short for another 41 seconds. Stevens and LaPointe had those roughing minors. And it is Fedorov again. Sergei Fedorov got it over to Brown. Doug Brown shoveled it wide. And Lemieux brings it back for New Jersey. Got a pass over to Bobby Carpenter. The opening is for Lemieux, and he got loose. Shoots one. Save Vernon, and he covers. And play is stopped. 8:10 to go. Second period. Still the Devils by one.
Mike, you said the only odd man rush for New Jersey. Coffey's moving in here, but watch these players go there too. There's going to be 3 on one white jersey. That shouldn't happen. 3 of them. So Primo can't get back. It's a 2-on-1. That's Niedermeyer up top. McLean on the puck. And Mike Vernon gets the job done, stopping the 2-on-1. Niedermeyer with that great speed jumped in to help out the Devils' odd man rush.
We mentioned about New Jersey and how few goals they allow. They have only allowed 3 or less. They've allowed 3 or less in every playoff game except one. That was 2 weeks ago this very day when they lost 4-2 to Philadelphia. The Flyers in one game, the only team to get 4 on them.
With 8 minutes to go in the second period, Detroit's already had 15 shots. That's almost a story in itself. That's a lot of shots New Jersey's given up.
In the very first game of this series, Detroit only had 17 total. Tisov rolling it around. Both teams get a man back. It's full-strength hockey. Devils ahead 3-2. The shots are 15-14 Detroit. On comes Slava Kozlov. Hooked away from him by Richer. Konstantinov's pass to Fedorov was offside.
Scotty Bowman has played Fedorov, Yzerman, and Primo at center ice, and he's rotated his 3 centermen. Centerman. The wingers have been different all the time. He doesn't care what wingers are playing with what centerman for this game. He knows his team's strength is their centerman when they're going. So he's tried to play them and play them and play them. But it looks like it's becoming exhausting to a person like Fedorov, who's played well. Talked about Fedorov skating earlier. I asked him, where'd you learn to do what you do? Great thighs, and you explode when you see the puck, and you want to skate to it. He said, when I was young, I was invited to play for the Red Army team, along with Mo Gilney, who plays in Buffalo, and Pavel Bure, the great player in Vancouver. And he said, we trained 11 months a year for 4 straight years. We were given 25 days off a year to take care of business and car payments and apartment or wives or whatever. 11 months a year we trained. That's where I learned to skate like I skate.
Stevens put it on goal and a save made by Vernon. Bob Rouse turns with it there. A penalty is coming up.
Billy Guerin knocked down Kozlov, and I think Guerin will get the minor penalty in the offensive zone here.
Finally, the Devils touch. Detroit to get the man advantage. They trail in the game. Second period. 3-2 New Jersey.
That's Bill Guerin picking up his man. The puck's on that side of the ice. That's the problem. So Guerin sees his man, turns around. Kozlov actually held him up. And then Guerin got mad and knocked Kozlov over. So Kozlov draws the penalty, or pardon me, yes, draws the power play for Scotty Bowman and his team as they trail by 1.
Guerin in on an interference wrap at 12:43. And Detroit presented with the opportunity to tie this game. And here comes Paul Coffey for Ciccarelli. Blocked aside by Stevens. Played along by Broughton. Lidstrom a shot, and it screamed wide off the boards. Coffey again. The outman. Yzerman back to the point. Lidstrom, Coffey, and a shot nubbed, and it went wide. Fedorov digs it out. Finesse one in front that's off a skate. Brodeur with a challenge, and McLean tried to clear it on. That failed. John McLean, all-time leading scorer, got it on over to Stevens for the clear.
Kenny Danico barks at the referee. Danico and Cicerelli with their own private war in front of the goaltender Brodeur.
McLean comes off, replaced by Tom Chorsky, as well as Bobby Carpenter. Floated back in. Niedermeyer to play it there. Yzerman on him. The puck squibs to Cicerelli. Dealt it along now for a play by Kozlov. Kozlov pursued by Driver and turned it into him and back out.
Better off with a short power play shift. I wonder if he is starting to tire a little bit. He's had a lot of ice time. He's played well, but is he tiring?
Lifted high on that pass from Kozlov. Puck back to the point, but tees off a shot, and that one done. Carpenter goes to get in. Coffey keeps it alive. All Coffey, but it's intercepted by Carpenter. Punched along, and they battle for it. Right back out, and here comes Carpenter. One-on-one with Fetisov. Bobby Carpenter a drive, and getting a piece of it was Vernon. Boy, Carpenter nearly run to the ditch by Primo. He got out of the way, and meanwhile, a lot of penalty time has gone off. 15 seconds for the Detroit power play. Primo on, and Coffey sent it in. Brodeur stops it behind. Right up the middle, and right to Fetisov. Fetisov had one guided away by Danico. John McLean can't get loose for that one. Vernon out of his goal, plays it across, and it's Fetisov ahead.
Detroit with a lot of holdups, hooking, interfering. In fact, that's what led to the penalty to Billy Guerin by Kozlov, and the fans getting upset here. But the Devils are. That's the key. The players are not.
58 seconds of Detroit attack time on that last power play, but they did not get a shot. Konstantinov banks it off. Scott Stevens goes to play it there, and out in front it came. McLean without a stick. Played along by Krushelnyski, and now Bill Guerin, and McLean just flipped it back down with his glove. He comes to the bench. Devils in the midst of a change. Brown sets it up. Draper a shot that's deflected to the seats by Abilene. Play is stopped here at the Meadowlands Arena. Another bear hug of players in this 3-2 Devils lead.
Goaltenders are like homing pigeons. You don't want to get too far from home when you get rid of the puck. Get back to where you belong quick. John McLean with the Willie Mays basket catch. He looks up, he doesn't have his stick, so he does the next best thing. He dumps the puck right out of the zone. Like I said earlier about Guerin did get upset when he was interfered with by Kozlov and took the penalty on the retaliation. The Devils players can't as a group allow this punching and holding, and they're being interfered with and not allowed the forecheck. They can't let that bother them and end up taking penalties and put themselves in the penalty box and make their penalty killers and goaltenders do the job for them. They've got to, actually that's what they're good at. So they've got to live with it. They do it a lot. Now Detroit's trying to do it a lot.
That's the interesting point, because they've brought a lot of retaliatory penalties against them that led to their power plays with the same sort of thing. At the conclusion of our game, John and I will select the new Dodge player of the game. Latter stages of the second period. The shots are 16-15 in favor of New Jersey. Abilene with a pass off Freeland. Konstantinov sends Lapointe ahead. Lapointe over to Yzerman. Steve Yzerman fed it across. Ramsey put one in front, and it's shanked wide by Airy on the rebound.
Great play by Yzerman. The puck was sitting there, but Detroit couldn't finish.
Freeland trying to finesse by. No sail from Konstantinov. Lapointe nudges it back for Yzerman, but he's met then by Chambers. Chambers' pass misfired for Guerin.
Now we have a period of time where the Devils are turning the puck over, and Detroit is countering and starting to get some offense.
It is Chambers again. Leads it ahead for Broughton in an onside play, but he's wrestled to the corner by Coffey. Devils in the midst of another change. Dino Cicerelli's pass bounced near McLean, but is controlled by Bob Rouse. Sails it back, and Brodeur sets. Driver taking it there. Pass intercepted by Primo. Missed for Cicerelli, though. And Paul Coffey lobs it back in. Driver pursued. Got out of the way of the Primo hit. Gets the puck back again. Off the boards for Chorsky, and he's hit. Dino Cicerelli. A lot of play between the blue lines now. McLean flies it back in. Another change in lines for New Jersey. Primo comes off for Detroit and is replaced by Chris Draper. He deflected that one ahead, but Lemieux just plopped it back in. Rouse pursued by Richer. Cicerelli chipped it. Stevens must play in neutral ice, and the Devils regroup. This is now seeming like the recipe Scotty Bowman wanted. It worked really well in the first. Looked like the teams were starting to go end-to-end a little bit, as much as they're allowed. Here's Fetisov with a shot. That went off the back of Cicerelli. They scrap for it, but emerging now is Richer. And Richer just angles it back in. It's virtually non-stop, but it's slower.
Slower. A lot of the non-stop action where there was some scoring chances, Mike, was on the 4-on-4 action. Now they're back 5-on-5. There's less room. You have to work harder to go through people.
McCarty with a pass that ricocheted in front and is covered by Brodeur, and play is stopped.
And Draper knocked down Albelane, the defenseman, to get open. And they're trying to get to the goaltender. Brodeur just gets up and skates away as everybody else starts to push and shove. The Detroit defensemen stay away from joining the pushing and shoving to make sure the faceoff stays in the New Jersey zone with under 2 minutes to go here in the second period. Here we see on the left side of the ice, number 6, Albelane. He's got his man, but his man knocks him down. That opens up the ice. All of a sudden, Brodeur's got to reach out, find the puck. And then you see the support as Breland, number 18, got back to help out the defenseman who was knocked down. There's a good change of speed to the outside. The puck's in front. You know, that was a nice play by Brodeur. The pass across, he used his goal stick to stop the puck from there, from getting to the target where it was supposed to go, and then held on. And you see Draper driving to the net, doing everything he can. Brodeur did not get upset by this pushing and shoving. Watch the goal stick. Beautiful, right there. Draper tries to find the puck, and Brodeur takes away the low shot, does a nice job in covering up, even though he was attacked.
From the face-off, the Devils have it. And Albelane angles it back out. John McLean able to pull away. McLean, safe one in front, guided away by Vernon. And it's Kozlov in the final 100 seconds of this second period. Bouncer in on Brodeur, and he hangs on. You often notice goaltenders talking to the officials, as Brodeur did during the stoppage of play. Is part of that engaging them to get them on your side, to blow the whistle quickly, for example?
Oh, absolutely. And as soon as the puck got into Brodeur's glove on that little play, the referee just blew the whistle immediately.
So it works.
Absolutely. I think one thing we've seen in this game is Detroit's really tried to crowd Brodeur, really tried to get him off his game. In fact, Primo took a penalty in the first period, bumping the goaltender. Billy McCreary, as a good referee does, recognizes it, and he wants to blow the whistle to keep players away from engaging the goaltender.
Bill McCreary, 11th year in the league. They start with a staff of 59, and by the time you get to the finals, there are only 7 officials left, 3 referees and 4 linesmen. It's all on merit, and it's an honor to be here, and Bill McCreary knows that. This is the second game of the series that he's worked, also having game 1 in Detroit.
And he does a nice job communicating with the players and coaching staff. That's one of his strengths. So I'm sure he doesn't mind talking to Brodeur.
Ahead comes Yzerman. Yzerman menaced by Driver, and just that little flick of the wrist enough to send it away, and a 2-on-1. Chorsky with McKay. Chorsky with a rising shot that got the glass. Now here's Yzerman jamming it back. Second odd man rush for New Jersey, the period.
Yeah, the Red Wings didn't get the puck deep, Mike. If you get to the blue line, you've got to get it deep. If you don't, your players are going in the opposite direction, and you're dead.
Here is Randy McKay moving in. McKay couldn't get a shot away. A penalty coming up.
Konstantinov, it's a good penalty, too. With 48 seconds to go, he had to do something as McKay broke in. So Konstantinov knocked McKay down, taking away the scoring chance. 2 turnovers by the Red Wings in the last minute really hurt them. Look at that pass. McKay lost control for just a moment of the puck, and watch the hook and the pull and knocking off balance of McKay by Konstantinov. That sends Konstantinov to the penalty box. If the Devils score here, it's 4-2 with 1 period to go, and they'd be very tough. Konstantinov had to do something to take the scoring chance away. Twice Detroit had the puck in the neutral zone, never got it deep to Brodeur's end of the ice, and those turnovers kill him. Just kill him. Absolutely kill him, and it's cost him a penalty here. Here you see Detroit on the puck. On the puck, moving up ice. Get it deep. Get it deep. No, it's not deep. Yzerman never got it deep. There's the pass, and it's a 2-on-1. Chorsky missed the net. And the next play is the one where Konstantinov took the penalty.
Coffey wraps it around. Chambers kept it alive. Breland there, shoved off by Coffey. Richer. Fedorov reaching for it, but then Breland. Bill McCreary found himself in the middle of that, pinching in his driver, but it's rattled back off. 24 to go in the period. Chambers taking it. Red Wings have made a change up front. They have Draper working up front along with Steve Yzerman now, and in back Rouse and Coffey. To the final dozen of the period. Driver put it in. Coffey back to take it. And it bounced to Draper to top it back out. And that'll do it. 40 minutes have been played. Only one goal in that period, and that was the tiebreaker, the second of the game by Neil Broughton. 2 periods played, and the Devils lead it 3-2. 19,040 fans are getting a rest. A roster of 40 players are getting a much-needed rest, too. But James Brown and Dave Maloney are about to go to work, and so also is the commissioner of the NHL, Gary Bettman. They'll be along when we come back.
Folks, this is the Holy Grail, that which is being fought for, and 20 minutes remain in regulation to see whether or not New Jersey can do it. And New Jersey right now leading after 2 periods of play by the score of 3-2. James Brown along with Dave Maloney. And Dave, as you mentioned before, again, no change in the style of play from New Jersey. They are steady and consistent.
Well, I think that, and that's the factor. We mentioned beforehand that New Jersey is going to play 60 minutes of their hockey. They tighten the ice up after they open the ice up for Fedorov, but New Jersey, no difference. A little tighter, keep plugging away.
And speaking of no difference, let's give Detroit some credit as we take a look at the highlights. No change in the intensity. Look at Martin Lapointe delivering a hit on Danico.
Oh, boy, that's a payback, I think, from Stevens on Kozlov. You talk about the open ice. This is what I speak of. 91 is much too dangerous to give him that kind of room. Paul Coffey's going to knock in a shorthanded rebound goal there. Now, I want you to pay attention to Bruce Driver at the top of the screen. He's going to make a great fake right there. Down go 2 Red Wings. That opens up the ice, and Chambers cranks it home and beats Vernon to the high side. That was late in the first. Again, this was much like the Devils' first goal. Billy Guerin wide. Neil Broughton gets himself in front and perseveres, and they talk about paying the price. He does that. Stoughton low. Now watch the puck. Over it comes. And Mike Vernon a little exasperated in the net. 3-2 hockey game, JB.
And that's exactly where we stand after 2. And as you mentioned again, the ice has gotten just a little smaller thanks to New Jersey's strong defense. Folks, when we come back, we're going to take care of a little business with the guy who can certainly share about the state of the league. More importantly, this franchise, the commissioner, Gary Bettman. It's a 3-2 ball. Make that a 3-2 game here in Brendan Byrne Arena after 2 periods of play. And I guess I'm having a little difficulty hearing myself. And we've got to say, right off the bat, the commissioner, Gary Bettman, joins us. Gary, you're a lot braver than I am. These fans here are very upset because they believe that you are in favor of this franchise moving from New Jersey to Nashville. What is your position, Gary?
First of all, let there be no doubt that hockey fans are passionate. And here you hear it. The fact is, the Devils have some problems they're trying to work on. I haven't taken a position on the move because the Devils haven't made a decision. And it would be premature to do anything at this point. The Devils want to focus on what's taking place on the ice and not whether or not there's going to be a move.
Clearly, the fans here believe that you are in favor of a move here. But once that position has been clarified by the owner, Mr. McMullen, can the league do anything to tangibly affect the situation if it involves a move?
Well, we're going to be constructive in this situation. Whatever decision the Devils ultimately make, ultimately it's a decision that's made by the Board of Governors. And if they decide they have to move or they want to move, we'll deal with it in the ordinary course. But we haven't taken a position, and this is one of the areas where maybe the media hasn't been all that constructive.
Well, Gary, a year ago, the Cup was on Broadway, and Sports Illustrated had given a thumbs up to the National Hockey League, comparing the future of the NBA to the NHL. In your opinion, is the Sports Illustrated, are they right? Are they correct?
Well, I think last year the optimism was an outgrowth of the popularity of the game. We're working very hard to increase our fan base. We had a work stoppage at the beginning of the season. We got through it. Our fans came back strong. We're really grateful to them for it. Our problems are behind us, and our future is as bright as it's ever been.
And one other thought, you know, there's the discussion about the viewability of the trap when it comes to playing. And in marketing the future of this game, can the game afford to have the trap as part of its play?
You know, most of the general managers and coaches, and we had a general managers meeting today, don't think the trap is the issue. If there's an issue we have to address, it's interference, and we're going to study that over the next few weeks, and for next season, we're going to see if we can open up the game a little bit more.
We've only got about 15 seconds left. But, Gary, what do you think a sports franchise's responsibility is to the community, especially with what we've seen with the Raiders moving again and that being the case around?
It's a two-way street, and the community and the business community and the building and the team and the fans all have to come together. And ideally, you want the team to be an integral part of any community it's in.
You're a bold man to be here.
Great to be with you guys.
You be my blocky back. Gary Bettman, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
All right,
Thanks,
and we've
guys.
got a lot more coming your way here at the Brendan Byrne Arena. 20 minutes separate the New Jersey franchise from his first ever Stanley Cup. We'll find out if it happens after this. Minutes is all that separates the New Jersey Devils from having their names etched on the Holy Grail, the Stanley Cup. And right now the Devils are nursing a one-goal lead going into the third period of play. We'll be back with Mike Emmerich and John Davidson after this.
The NHL on Fox, the Stanley Cup Finals, brought to you by Domino's Pizza. When it's got to be deep, it's got to be Domino's Ultimate Deep Dish Pizza. By Bud Ice, the official beer sponsor of the NHL. By Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers Under Siege 2 starts Friday, July 14th at a theater near you. And by the United States Army Reserve. Be all you can be. For more information, call 1-800-USA-ARMY.
Teams are back on. Courage and concentration is what it takes to play hockey. And it takes courage and concentration to be a commissioner in the midst of that mob across the way conducting an interview.
Yeah, you can understand the Devils fans and their feelings about this team possibly moving to Nashville, but they're misinformed, Mike. The ownership, led by John McMullen, who owns this team, along with the state of New Jersey, who's Governor Christine Whitman, and the Port Authority who run this building, they're the ones that have to make the agreement work. It's nothing to do with the commissioner forcing a move. He's not. He's just trying to do the right thing. These are the people that have to get together and make a strong decision one way or the other. I felt that the commissioner showed some bravery just being there.
Before the start of the third period, Joe Micheletti downstairs. He had earlier talked with Ken Danico.
Ken Danico, we've played 2 periods now. You go into the third period, a 1-goal lead. What can we expect from your team in the third?
Well, we've got to continue to play like we did the second half of the second period. We got the puck in. We forechecked real well and had numerous opportunities. Unfortunately, not too many went in, but we're up 1, and we're going to continue to work hard for the third.
You've been here for 13 years with New Jersey. It's been a long time. What are you thinking right now with 1 period to go?
Well, I'm just worried about that next shift. Jacques Lemaire has preached focus, and you win the battles against the guy you're playing against. That's all I'm concentrating on right now.
Thanks for your time.
All right, thanks.